Welcome back to this episode of the To Fluency podcast. If you are new here, my name is Jack from To Fluency, and this is a place where you can listen to natural English in a relaxing way and learn all about the English language, how best to learn, grammar, etc. Today's episode is really exciting for me because if you follow what I'm going to discuss in this lesson, you're going to find the way you learn English changes dramatically for the best. So you're going to find new ways to learn English, to understand English, and to improve your English in a way that is fun, interactive, and highly effective. Today's topic is all about how to learn English with AI. To start with, it's important to go through some of these key terms quickly. So AI means artificial intelligence, AI. So you'll hear the word AI a lot. Now, there are different AI tools like ChatGPT. Now, this was always difficult for me to say at first, ChatGPT, but I am used to it now, and I'm sure you've heard this in your own language and also in English before, ChatGPT. There are other tools like Claude from Anthropic or Google Gemini. So what I talk about today can be applied to any AI chatbot. And I believe these tools are a powerful way to learn English if you use them correctly. And in today's episode, we're going to look at 4 powerful ways you can use ChatGPT or other tools to boost your fluency. We're going to give you 2 bonus tips to get more out of these tools, to use them effectively. And then I'm going to have a little bit of fun at the end with some predictions or thoughts about the future of AI. Be sure to stay until the end of this episode because you're going to get a lot out of it, especially if you start applying what I talk about. So let's just start with the first way you can use ChatGPT to learn English. And it's this: asking language questions. Now, this means you open up ChatGPT and you say something like, what's the difference between much and many? Or when do I use much and many? Why do we say I enjoy swimming instead of I enjoy to swim? What's the best way to say this word in British English, for example? Now, this has 2 main advantages over the old way of doing things. Firstly, you can get instant explanations without needing to search through textbooks or websites. So instead of using Google and going to a forum, going to a website, etc., you can get an instant answer right to you. And the second thing about it is that ChatGPT, from my experience learning languages and in general, is accurate. So it's going to give you the accurate response. Additionally, you can ask follow-up questions. So if something isn't clear, you can ask more questions to really understand what it's saying. Could you explain this again in simple terms? And one thing I've always said is that in order to internalize the language and be confident with it, you need to be clear on how to use it and when to use it. So how to use a present perfect. You need to be clear in your mind about, oh, okay, I understand that. And then that means you'll be able to use it in conversations. Now, the second way to use it is to generate examples. So you can ask ChatGPT to provide multiple examples for words, phrases, or grammar structures you're learning. An example prompt. Now, this is another word to know, a prompt. A prompt is what you ask ChatGPT. So an example prompt could be, can you give me 10 examples of sentences using the present perfect tense? You can even say things like, can you give me 10 simple examples of using the present perfect tense? Can you give me 10 sentences using much and many? And this is helpful. This is useful because seeing different types of examples helps you understand how to use a word or structure in different contexts. So it gives you the confidence to know exactly how to use it. You see the variations of the way it is used, and that gives you the ability to truly understand how it's used. Another example prompt is give me 5 sentences using the phrasal verb pick up. And it's going to give you 5 sentences for you. Now, later, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can get the correct sentences for you in the bonus tip. Now, the third way to use it is getting writing feedback. Now, when I first started language teaching and started my channel, a lot of people asked me, can you correct my writing? They sent me emails and they asked me to correct their writing. And there used to be tools where you could upload your writing and a teacher would correct it for you. But now we have this instant feedback, instant corrections on your writing using ChatGPT. So an example prompt here, what you can ask ChatGPT is this. Can you correct this paragraph and explain my mistakes? Or I'm going to write 5 sentences in the present perfect. Could you correct and explain my mistakes? So ChatGPT will identify grammar errors. ChatGPT will identify grammar errors, awkward phrasing or strange, not correct phrasing, and sentence structure issues. And then it's going to give you explanations to help you understand the corrections so you can learn for the future. And this is incredibly useful. In fact, you can start thinking about, firstly, ask ChatGPT to explain something you don't understand. Then for it to give you more example sentences. And then for you to practice these writing sentences to get feedback. Because in order to improve in a language, you have to use it. You have to be able to produce it, whether this is writing or whether this is speaking. And we'll talk about speaking in a second. But I think the first stage to practice in a language is writing, because you can take your time. You're not rushed. You don't have to think about the way you say things. Instead, it's all about getting it correct and taking your time to do that. So the third way is to get feedback on your writing. Now, the fourth way is to practice conversations. To practice conversations. You can do this with writing, or you can do this in two different ways with your voice. So let's say you have a ChatGPT thread open. Especially if you're on your phone, it's easier, but you can do this on your computer too. You can use the voice mode and speak, and it's going to create the text for you. So you can ask ChatGPT the following for the prompt. Again, we're using the word prompt. Let's role play. You are a waiter and I'm ordering food in a restaurant. So you're asking ChatGPT to play the role of a waiter or a server, and you're going to order food in a restaurant. You can make this more specific. You can say, for example, in a fish and chip shop, or at a pub in London, or at a sushi restaurant. But this is useful because it's going to give you the opportunity to practice common scenarios without the pressure of a real conversation. And just like the writing one, you can ask for corrections if your responses are awkward, unclear, or incorrect. And you can think about all the different role plays you can use this with. For example, you've just met somebody for the first time at a language exchange, and they're going to ask you questions about your life. Or you can think about business scenarios too, where you're in a business meeting and you're asking questions, or they're asking you questions about things. It could also be a job interview too. The second way to do this is accessing the voice mode on ChatGPT app, where you can speak into the microphone and then receive spoken responses from the AI in the language you choose. Now, at the moment, this isn't as good as speaking to a regular person. in real life, a teacher or somebody at a language exchange. But it's getting better and better. And I'll talk more about that later. And this is also a great way just to get that speaking practice and to find yourself getting more practice for free at home, and also in a way where you're just feeling comfortable about doing it. So those are the 4 ways we can use ChatGPT in order to practice and improve our English. So we can do it for explanations, for examples, writing feedback, and real life conversations. Next, we're going to talk about some bonus tips. Now, the first one is to personalize ChatGPT so it knows who you are. Personalize, set up ChatGPT in a way so it knows who you are. So you can give ChatGPT context about your learning goals, levels, interests, and who you are. This is really useful because then ChatGPT is going to respond to you in a way that is personal to you. It's going to make the lessons and the chats more effective and relevant to you. Because when it comes to speaking a language, you're going to be saying the same things over and over again. You're going to talk about yourself. You're going to talk about your interests. But also you can tell ChatGPT your level, so then it can give you example sentences matched to your level. So be sure to tell it as much information as you're comfortable with when you are starting chats with ChatGPT. Now, the second bonus tip is to take the notes from ChatGPT and practice them. So let's say it's example sentences from ChatGPT. What you can do is, after using a thread for a while, you can say, summarize all the sentences that you've given me and put them into a table. What it's going to do then is create a table, an Excel table or a numbers table, and then you can take that table and the sentences and practice them. You can also ask it to export it as a text file if you prefer. But the idea here is that you're not just seeing the sentences and then that's it. Instead, you are taking those sentences and using the methods that I've talked about on this channel in order to improve your retention of the sentences and also to get the practice you need in order to improve your English in general. So the bonus tips are personalize ChatGPT, and then also take the sentences that you've learned and use a method in order to improve your English. Now let's talk about the future of AI and learning, because I think this is fascinating. And AI in general, I find fascinating, just so interesting. And if you've been following it like I have, you'll know that it is advancing very quickly. It's becoming better and better all the time, and there are new tools. Now, I think the future of AI and language learning is going to be the following. Firstly, advanced conversation agents. So think about an AI language teacher who is always there for you, who knows who you are, who can constantly teach you English. It's going to be paid, there's going to be free versions, but the idea is that you're going to have a language teacher in the future who is always going to be there for you. Now, whether this is good or bad for the industry, whether this is bad for teachers, that's a different conversation, but that's where I think it is going to go. And what's more is I can see it where the integration of AI or the combination of AI with virtual reality or augmented reality. I think that these two are going to come together. So as a learner, you can imagine putting on some goggles and you are in a realistic scenario having conversations with AI characters, and in a way where you can make this specific to you and your learning goals. So you can think about putting on your goggles and you see yourself in, or you see the scene of a train station or a pub in Manchester. You go into the pub in Manchester and you can just go around and have conversations with people in English. And you can have things where you see language analysis, giving you tips. Someone is helping you through this. You have a teacher helping you through it. I think this is what's going to happen in the future in terms of language learning. But with these two things and ChatGPT right now, it's important to still immerse yourself in English, internalize words and phrases, and learn in the most effective way. Now, I'm going to leave links to videos that talk through this, and what I've talked about in the past is still relevant today in terms of AI. But I see AI at the moment as a way to help you learn more effectively. So my question to you is, how are you using AI today in order to learn English? And if you haven't tried these methods I've talked about, I highly recommend trying them out, and I'll list them in the description so you can really follow them in a way that you can apply them. And then watch more of my videos, especially on how to internalize languages and how to learn languages in order to use these even more effectively. So share this video with a friend. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.